I hope everyone out there is enjoying their weekend and is having a very happy Sunday. 20 November 2022, currently 12:20 hours, that is of course 12:20 in the afternoon. For those of you in the civilian world, it is currently 52 degrees here on the northeastern coast of Florida. High today of 56.1, low today of, 52. Temperature is dropping. We'll see how far it's going to go. Barometer reading is currently 30.29 inches of mercury and holding steady. We had a little over 8/100ths of an inch of rain, so it's just kind of been drizzling, but would like to always be diligent and say thank you to everyone who continues to join us, not only here, but over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, where it's only $1 per month. It's not per video, not per week. It's $1 per month, and that gets you all of the content going back years. Truly, there's hundreds of video, hours and hours and hours and hours of content that you can absorb regarding psychological operations and topics and things that we can't discuss here because of the censorship. And that's kind of going to be the topic of today's video here on YouTube. I'm sure many of you have heard the story now. We would love to have you over at Patreon, fully refundable, lowest allowable level up to 90 days, meaning that you could watch the content from now until, let's see, December, January, actually into February. And at that point, you could come to me and say, Florida Maquis, I gave you 90 days. Not for me. Can I have my $3 back? Absolutely. Not a problem at all. But what's the big news? The big news is, of course, Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump on Twitter, even though Donald Trump said, I'm not going to go back to Twitter. I'm going to roll out my own platform and I'm going to post on Truth Social. Even with that, Twitter is absolutely going mad, saying bring on the mean tweets and all this kind of stuff. And they're so excited, but there's a story beneath the story here that nobody is seeing. And I'd like to cover that for you. Now, strangely enough, numerology being what it is, from the first Saturday of the Biden administration to the day, yesterday, Saturday, that Donald Trump was reinstated on Twitter is exactly 666 days. That's right. From the first Saturday of the Biden administration, way back in 2021, to when Trump was reinstated on Twitter yesterday, another Saturday, exactly 666 days. I think we can definitively say now that we have both beasts of Revelation here in the one picture. I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh, that's it. I'm going to start to type right now. Just let me make my case. Let me make my case. There's something that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have in common that not a lot of people talk about. They are both basically in a range of autism. Elon Musk is far more autistic than Donald Trump is, but they are both autistic. And there is a hallmark of autism that no one can deny who's ever dealt with it. Those in the spectrum have to have things have rules. There have to be boundaries. Things are either this or they're that. There's no room for ambiguity in their lives. There's no room for interpretation in their lives. It is this. There have to be clearly defined ways of doing things, times for doing things. And if that gets messed up at all, they lose, pardon my French, they lose their shit. Anybody who's been around a kid like this, or anybody of any age like this, trust me on this, ladies. A lot of ladies, if they knew how to handle it right, would be happy for the rest of their lives with an autistic man. Why? Well, because he would always follow the rules. Not because he was, giving deference to God or that he loved you so much, but that the rules would be what glued that relationship together. He'd never cheat on you. Why? That's against the rules. If you had lunch dates every Wednesday at the local TGI Fridays at exactly 12:15 p.m., he would be there every single time and never forget. Never forget your anniversary. Never forget your birthday. Ever. Or any other date like that, any other special date, the date of the, first time you went out or your first kiss. These are the things that autistic men thrive on. Rules and everything being all in order all the time. You could control the money, saying we make this amount of money, this goes to the savings account, this is how much on this day, and everything would be in order all the time. It's just how they function. It's how they operate. And it makes them very, very good at a lot of things, but it also makes them very, very bad at others. Now, if you want to drive someone who is autistic batshit nuts, it's real simple. Go throw a pot of chili on the stove and start seasoning it with a half a pinch of this or a small handful of that. And don't set a timer for anything, and have you and your mate go sit on the couch or whoever and say, hey, can you go throw maybe a couple of pinches of turmeric in and just kind of stir it around and just put that in until it tastes right, or maybe throw in a little bit of more salt and just until it's good, just until it's how chili is supposed to taste. They will literally collapse into a pile on the floor. How many teaspoons? How many half teaspoons? How long does it have to cook? When are we eating? What does taste right mean? If you don't define that, or you don't have, like in this particular case, the labels on all of the spice jars, this kind of stuff sends them into a tailspin they usually never recover from. Now, cool story, Maki. What does this have to do with Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump? Vox Populi, Vox Dei is what was typed, what was put into the Twitter poll by Elon Musk. The voice of the people equals the voice of God. Now, it's how you read this that shows you what's going on with Elon Musk. Now, real quick. See, Elon Musk said on 10/28/22, Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. Now, I remember when he said this, I'm like, bullshit. There's no way an Elon Musk, a hyper autistic guy, could ever deal with something like a council with all those different opinions and viewpoints where people were either really for or really against or somewhere in the middle. He couldn't handle that. There's no way he could come to a decision based on some random council like that. So what did he do? He went and he just created a simple poll. Reinstate former President Trump. Yes or no? And so then he got this information, this factual, hard numbers information, 51.8, 48.2. And his first thing after that, Vox Populi, Vox Dei, 134 million people saw the poll and 15 million voted. Now, here's how you read this. Here's how you read this. Something like Vox Dei, the voice of God, is something he could never have come to on his own, a relationship with God, as an autistic person. Oh, the voice of God is the voice of the people. Well, I can quantify the voice of the people. Vox Populi is real. I can see it with my eyes. I can't see God with my eyes. I can hear what people are saying in the poll. I can't hear what God is saying. But now I can quantify. I can set an equals between these two things. Vox Populi equals Vox Dei. So whatever the mob wants, that's the voice of God. As per Elon Musk. The ex-US president's ban was lifted after An online vote, the people have spoken, Trump will be reinstated. He added Vox Populi, Vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Even though the man said, I'm not coming back. I'm going to post on Truth Social. That wasn't good enough for Elon Musk. That wasn't good. See, he had to know. He had to know what the right decision was, and he had to consult the crowd. Now, Revelation 13. This whole thing with the two beasts. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven in the sight of men. He maketh fire come down from heaven in the sight of men. You see, Jesus said that he came not to bring peace, but to bring a sword. Is that not what Jesus said? I came not to bring peace, but I came to bring a sword. To continue in Revelation 13, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. Which had the wound by a sword, and did live. You see, the sword is that truth. The sword is that decision, the one that divides the joint from the marrow. You see, there can be no concept of God or a need for forgiveness, for that matter, a concept of Christ or the blood of Christ or needing that forgiveness, needing that salvation. No person who is autistic can have a concept of that. There's only cause and effect. For example, if an autistic person backed into you in a parking lot and put a dent in your car, they would never apologize. They would explain. They would say, oh, this vehicle has terrible views. It has bad mirrors. If they thought it was your fault, they might say, well, you came out of nowhere, but here's my insurance and we'll just get things taken care of. No big deal. They would never apologize. They would never say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. There would just be the event and the reasons for the event. That's it. That's all that ever exists. The event, and whether it's good or bad, and the reasons the event occurred. You see, that's the exact opposite of what InfoWars did for years. You see, they said you needed to vote for him because Trump, meaning? Because they're going after your spirit, they're going after your soul, they're going after your immortal existence. There's no one in the autistic world that could quantify that in their mind or make any kind of reality in their mind or understand why Megyn Kelly was the thank you sent over by Fox News to thank the leader of InfoWars for what he did. See, a lot of you and I and any normal person can put this together and go, oh, this was his thank you. This was the reward right here. No autistic person could put two and two together that way. We covered this a while back, and maybe I didn't do as good a job of it as I could, talking about this scene from the Orville, scene 1, literally the first 30 seconds of the creation of this pseudo Star Trek thing by Seth MacFarlane, this avowed atheist. His character gets his nose all bent out of shape because he catches his wife in bed with some other guy. Actually happens twice in the series. But to an atheist, why would you? It would be the equivalent of you coming home to your house being dirty all the time and your wife saying, well, I help my mom and my girlfriends clean their houses first, and I just never really have time to get around to cleaning our house. It'd be the same thing. Or missing that lunch date. Like if you had that lunch date every Wednesday at the local TGA Fridays at 12:15 p.m., and you always got the club sandwich, and they always got the soup and the salad, whatever. You didn't show up one day. No call, no text. It would be the same thing. It would be the same thing to an autistic person. It's just a violation of the contract. It's a breaking of the rules. No one rule any different than any other rule, but to an atheist, who cares? Would you divorce your spouse because they missed one lunch date and didn't call? Well, you wouldn't divorce your spouse if you caught him in bed with the guy next door. See, that's how they, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how autistic people think. That's how they act. That's how they operate. But there's no room for God. There's no room for spirituality or any kind of a relationship when your entire life centers around that which can be quantified, that which can be seen with the eyes is literally, you ready for this? What does the Bible define faith as? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Another thing that is foreign to someone with autism. The idea of salvation, the idea of faith cannot be grasped. And that is literally Antichrist. And that's why we have here the two beasts spoken of in Revelation. I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.